Shabbat Shalom, everyone. On this Parshat Kedoshim, I've been hocking you all morning to sing Holy, Holy. So if there's anything that you remember from this morning is to be holy. For Parshat Kedoshim is oftentimes referred to as the holiness code. Why is that? Because it's chock full of a lot of instructions, a lot of mitzvot, a lot of connecting points between our neshamot, between our souls, and the Holy of Holies, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kedoshim tihiyu. Kedoshim tihiyu, ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. You shall be holy, for I, your God, Yud He Vav He, am holy. As many times, the Parsha is named after the first word, or certainly the name of the Parsha is found in the first line of the Parsha. In this case, the very first word, Kedoshim tihiyu, Parshat Kedoshim. Kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh Adonai Elohechem. You shall be holy, for I, your God, Yud He Vav He, am holy. What are some of the ways in which we can express and bring more holiness into the world? Well, Shulamit just gave us some. Compassion, kindness, by displaying and emulating the midot, the characteristics of divinity. But also in these things, Et Shabtotai tishmeru ani Adonai Elohechem, keep my Sabbaths. I, Yud He Vav He, am your God. And there's more in this parsha, I promise. Lo tignovu, you shall not steal. Lo tekalel cheresh v'lifnei iver lo titein michshol. You shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. And our Holy of Holies, as Rabbi Akiva reminds us, what is the ikar? What is the essential thing to learn from all of Torah? Ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha. Love your fellow as yourself. Right here in this week's Parsha. I promised. The Mei Shiloach, Rabbi Mordechai Yosef Lehner, translates Kedoshim, translates holiness as being attuned, interesting, meaning that what we are really being asked is to uncover the Kedusha that's already there within each moment, within each choice. In other words, Kedusha, holiness, it lives within us, just waiting, like the seed under the earth, waiting to blossom into what it was always meant to be. You know, I'm a very firm believer of that as a very avid gardener. But Rabbi Aviva Zornberg, I'm giving her the title of Rebbe because she's a Rebbe to me, and I've had the great, great pleasure of studying with her. She describes holiness as aspirational or in flux. Kedusha, she teaches, in this framework is a movement upward, an energetic state. Kedusha can be understood as the aspiration toward vitality. A kind of discomfort is its baseline. In other words, not being satisfied with who we are, but knowing that there is something more to grow into. A restlessness about all given situations. Here, one is not yet one who one wishes to be. One seeks out a deeper and larger way to be, and that the longing, the yearning itself is holy. This is an entirely different approach to what it means to be holy. This week's Parsha, again, a little sneak preview of breakthrough rooms today. Ishimo v'aviv tira'u, you shall each revere your mother and your father. This week's Torah portion. But that's not the end of that pasuk, as it is present in two other places in Torah. Kabed avicha v'et imecha leman ya'arichun yamecha al ha'adama. Honor your father and your mother that you may long endure on the land. So here there is, if you do this, then, if you honor your mother and father, or in the other case, if you revere your mother and your father, you will be given a prize. You get to live a long life, right? Well, maybe not. Because, well, before we get there, I have a question for you. Why doesn't Torah tell us to love our father and mother? It tells us to revere our father and mother, revere. It tells us to honor our father and mother. But it doesn't tell us to love our father and mother. We're instructed in a lot of other cases to love. What are some of those? What are some of those places? Anybody? Go ahead, Shosh. That's coming up. So first I'm going to say, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your fellow as yourself. And then, just as you said, v'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, you shall love your God. Now, Mary Rita and Anael, do you have one too? Because I'm not sure you're going to get this last one that I have, but go ahead, Anael. Oh, ding, 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 ding. Well, because brilliant minds think alike. Hagar itchem v'ahavta lo chamocha. You shall love each one as yourself, for ki gerim hayitem be'eretz Mitzrayim. You were strangers in the land of Egypt. Alrighty. So apparently we are giving instructions to love, but curiously, not in the case of our fathers and mothers. And you're going to have an opportunity to unpack that in a little while. But as I said, this line in which if you revere, if you honor your mother, your father and your mother, and then you'll have a long life, well, there's a very famous story in the Talmud about Elisha ben Abuya. That story is the basis for Milton Steinberg's classic book, As a Driven Leaf. Can I see by show of hands how many of you have read it? If you haven't read it, you must read it, because it gives us a tremendous understanding of temple days and that time period based upon this story in the Talmud. It's the story of Rabbi Elisha ben Abuya, later to be known as the Acher. The Acher means other, or, as in the case of Voldemort, he who must not be named. Now, it's a whole other different reasons. But in Elisha ben Abuya's case, here's what happened to him. He's walking along the road, and he sees a boy climb onto a tree. And there is the directive in Torah, if you take the eggs from the nest, you're supposed to chase the mother bird away. Well, this boy takes the eggs, and he takes the mother as well. Wait a second, what is going on here? The boy climbs down, he takes the mother and the eggs, and he goes on his merry way. Elisha ben Abuya thinks to himself, this boy must not have read very much Torah. And as a matter of fact, wouldn't you know it, a couple of days later, he's walking down the road, and he overhears a mother and father instructing their child to climb up the ladder, to retrieve the eggs from a nest, and to make sure that you adhere to the Torah instruction, which is to chase the mother bird away. The boy does that. He honors, he listens, he obeys his mother and father, he climbs up into that tree, he takes the eggs and chases the bird away, and the ladder gives way underneath him, and the boy breaks his neck. The Acher is more than dumbfounded. The Acher becomes the Acher, the other, because he writes off the Torah. He goes from one of the most respected Talmud scholars to someone who no longer follows the path. This is difficult Torah. How could that be? That if we sometimes follow the instructions, why do bad things happen to good people? And we're left with the holiness code. Do this, do that. Tie a little reminder. in the form of tzitzit to us selves. What do we find here in the Holiness Code? We find keep my Sabbaths. We find love your fellow as yourself. We find you shall not steal. We find you shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. And we also are reminded by Aviva Zornberg that Kedusha can be understood as the aspiration toward vitality. Here one is not yet who one wishes to be. Have you ever heard the term, or have you ever used the term, I'm a bad Jew? I'm not a good Jew. Or have you ever heard somebody else use it? I bet all of us have heard people refer to themselves as, I am not such a good Jew, or I'm a bad Jew. Well, you know what? This is a problem. As a matter of fact, a number of years ago, Renee and I and our daughter, Mo, went to see a show called Bad Jews. I'm curious, how many of you saw it? Yeah, very few. But it was at the Studio Theater here in Washington, D.C., and it sold out the entire run. As a matter of fact, I later found out that it was the most produced play that year of any play in the United States. Everyone laughed and screamed their heads off. Loved it, except the three of us. We absolutely hated it. We were totally uncomfortable. We stayed until the end, and we just could not understand what all of these people were finding so enjoyable about these characters calling themselves bad Jews, trying to live up to something that they misunderstood the aspirational nature, as Aviva Zornberg has just told us. Reb Zushya understood this well. When he was on his deathbed, his students found him in uncontrollable tears. They tried to comfort him by telling him that he was almost as wise as Moses and as kind as Abraham, so he was sure to be judged positively in heaven. And Zushya replied, when I pass from this world and appear before the heavenly tribunal, they won't ask me, Zushya, why weren't you as wise as Moshe or as kind as Abraham? Rather, they'll ask me, Zushya, why weren't you Zushya? Why didn't I fulfill my potential? Why didn't I follow the path that could have been mine? And so, my friends, I implore you never, ever to use the term bad Jew. I implore you that because you are here, you are engaged in the conversation and the struggle and in the yearning. And because of that, you're a member of the tribe. Rabbi Joshua Feigelson gives us one final reminder of how we're supposed to wrestle with this. The only person to live up to is yourself. What holiness looks like in your life is going to be different than what it looks like in mine. This week, and these are my words too, I want to encourage you to make a kavanah, an intention for yourself. Find one way you want to try to manifest a little more holiness, a little more kedusha. It might be deepening your experience of Shabbos by disconnecting from your phone or social media so you can be more fully present to yourself or a loved one or a friend. Or be more mindful of the words you use, or say something loving and caring that you feel like you don't say enough. Or something as simple as performing acts of kindness every day. This is being holy and bringing holiness into the world. And by acting in a holy, holy way, you build your Kedusha muscle and bring more of the divine presence into the world. May this be our Shabbos blessing today, that you, in your unique way, that each of us in our unique way, bring a little bit more holiness into this world by truly and uniquely being ourselves. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.